afternoon, St Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Groundings, St Kitts and Nevis. I'm Junie Liebert, along with the usual crew, Dr. Patrick Martin and the Honorable Sam Conda. But on the first segment of the show for today, we have a very special guest in the Prime Minister of the Federation of St Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terrance Drew.
I, Dr. Terrance Michael Drew,
do swear
that
I will honor,
uphold, and preserve
the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis
the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis
and the law. That I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability, discharge my duties
as
Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis.
As Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis.
And do right to all manner of people. Without fear or favor. Affection or ill will. So help me God.
We're going to ask the Prime Minister to give us a report on how things are going so far, the transition period, how it's been working, what are some of the objectives that have been achieved, and go into some of the highlights. It's just 3 weeks that has elapsed since the election. 17 days. All right. Good afternoon, PM.
Yes, good afternoon, Junie. Let me take this opportunity, of course, to commend you on an excellent program, and also to commend your co-host in the person of my senior colleague in medicine, Dr. Patrick Martin. We follow our hierarchy. And also to Honorable Ambassador Sam Conda as well. I think your program would have informed the public leading up to the elections. I think that he had an approach that was very acceptable. It was really grounded in good information and good presentation. And that is why I felt comfortable as the Prime Minister coming to Groundings this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We welcome you.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. PM.
Yes, I want to say good afternoon to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, those home here and those abroad, those who are tuned in. And I look forward to sharing pertinent information with the citizenry this afternoon, and to give you the opportunity to ask a few questions. As you know, I'll be heading to the Defense Force to interact and to really listen to our men and women there. But I felt it was prudent for me to come here this afternoon. So, Junior, I hope you're enjoying the VAT day.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. So we had 2 VAT days. I know people think they're just back to school. They come at the time of back to school, but there are VAT days that covers everything. Generally, I think, except some stuff in communication like top-ups and so forth, and vehicles. But everything is VAT-free.
Okay.
And therefore, I encourage people to go out and to really enjoy the 2 days of VAT-free shopping, where they can save some money. I think families needed this opportunity to save some money. We know that for some families, things are very challenging, in this COVID economy or this post-COVID economy as we recover. And where our government can really give relief to our citizens, we will do that. And especially those families headed by single mothers. Those are the ones that were hit significantly hard during the pandemic, and I'm hoping that they would benefit from this initiative as well. So we decided not 1 day, but 2 days, so that people can, really get their dollar stretched and help to, meet some of the demands that they have in their homes and so forth. So we wanted to do that for our family, for the families in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we have been off to a start. I want to say that our people would have seen our swearing in. They would have seen the cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis. And as you know, we have 3 women in our cabinet. And I think that is in keeping with our own thrust of making sure that women get their fair shot at being in leadership and being at the table. My senior colleague, Patrick Martin, used to say that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And therefore, I agree with that statement. So we have to get women at the table. And that is why you see that we made the move to really make part of our agenda to make sure that women get their fair opportunity to be in leadership. And not only that in the government, we're going to do it in the government. We want to do it in the parliament as well from our side. We also want to do it on boards when we appoint the boards. We also want to do it when we appoint ambassadors. We want to do it, and I would ask that an analysis be done at the level of the private sector to see if women are getting fair opportunities to be in leadership. And I will update the country as to where we are with that. That was part of our agenda, and we'll continue to pursue it. Also, with making sure that young people get their chances also in leadership. As you know, one of our senators is just 29 years old, 30 years old, in the person of Honorable Senator Aislinn Philip, and that is in keeping with our own thrust that we should have, youth also at the table. And so you'll see that throughout the administration. But we have been off to a start, and we have done and complied with a number of critical things that we said we would have done within the first week of the government. So our cabinet is in place, and people have seen our cabinet. We are getting ready soon to have our first parliament sitting, where people will see the new Speaker of the House. We'll also have the opportunity to see the full cabinet, and also see the leader of the opposition being sworn in, and those from the other side being sworn in as well. So that is another part of our governance that we'll make sure that we comply with. I've already spoken about the VAT days. I also want to talk about the children fund that we have put in place. And I think that Patrick is a pediatrician. And I know it gives him headache when he hears that a child has to go overseas. You have to seek funding from multiple sources before you can even start to get the child overseas. We are committed to at least having that fund in place so that children wouldn't have to be around here longer than they would have because of funding. And I have brought up this also with the ambassador from the United States to the Caribbean about to our country. If we have children who need that type of care, how can we get them there quickly in terms of expedited visas and so forth? And so I want that to be a real option for our people. And so we'll work through that to make sure that our children who get sick can quickly get to where they need to go in order to get that care. And as I've said on the platform, that it's real heartbreaking when children die of curable diseases. And we as a country, we should step up to the plate and make sure that we meet them. And it's not a lot of children, of course, per year, but we know that when we lose a child, it is a significant, a psychological impact on the whole federation, not just the family. Because children, as we know, they're special. They're special. We have also made CFBC free. And the reason why I've done that, I don't want anybody not to get tertiary level education because the parent can't afford it. I am determined that we're not going back to the 60s and 70s when only the privileged could have had an education. So I am and my team, we are working. And I want to really congratulate the team of us who is really pushing these issues forward and making sure that the cabinet responds to what we promised and what we commit ourselves to with respect to the people. So we are making CFBC free. I want to congratulate Honorable Jeffrey Hanley, the Minister of Education, who is, of course, enthusiastic about this as well, but the cabinet in general, because we all, of course, push this forward. CFBC had become a challenge for some of our youth, some of our children. Many of them who were coming from families that were financially strapped were being forced to go to work instead of going to CFBC. And we know that those who are, having difficulties financially, that those are the ones who education impact the most, because many of them, when they get well educated, they lift their family up along with them. And therefore, we are saying that CFBC should be free. We'll continue to look at it to make sure that there are no barriers. And we're also extending it to the students in Nevis. The students in Nevis, we also want to have the opportunity to go to CFBC for CFBC for free. And that we will continue to work with to make sure that there are no barriers. So even the students who have paid the tuition thus far, we are saying that we will refund them so that they can go to college. The other thing is, with respect to the children of non-nationals or children who are non-nationals, if the parents live here, they have been paying Social Security and so forth, they too would have the opportunity to go to college for free. Why? Because their parents are paying social levy. Mm-hmm. Social levy, we know, you never get any, you don't get it back. That goes into paying for many things, and some of it is leveled to pay for education. So their children should also have the benefit. And it's really in keeping with the principle that all children should be educated. We also looked at the CBI program, and we are moving really to making sure that the CBI works for all of us, and the CBI is contributing significantly to the development of St. Kitts-Nevis, but we just have to make sure that we do what we have to do and get it right. With respect to the protocol, and I want to spend just a minute on it, Junie, the protocol for traveling to St. Kitts-Nevis. I want the people to know that this is founded really on the scientific data. The scientific data has informed this decision. I was informed that they had the data since in May, and I am saying today that it was for political reasons why the restrictions were not slackened. I will say that because that's the first thing I did was to ask for the scientific data with respect. So I want to thank the task force for their work thus far, but I want to really say that, we were able to use the scientific data to make an informed decision. So this was not a political decision. It was a scientifically informed decision. We have the data, and of course we acted on the data, which I think that our decision should be data-driven and not politically driven, especially when you're dealing with a pandemic. With respect to the National Bank or the national group of companies, I met with the chairman and I said to him, where is the scientific data that have our people in National Bank, the workers there, having to do PCR tests every 2 weeks? I said, did you all even consider an antigen test? I said, World Health Organization have approved these antigen rapid tests. They are used in Western Europe, North and South, North America, Canada, and these countries that we consider to be developed. They have developed the technology. The scientific data suggests that it's safe to use them. They're reliable. And there was no answer scientifically with respect to that. But I want to say that they have now removed that type of policy from those in the national bank. We also saw, when I interacted with the police force, that the members of the police force, some of them were really, as they reported, could not have gotten promotion because they did not take a vaccine. And that again, it was a word of mouth policy, and we were able to word of mouth get rid of that policy as well. And so we have done a number of significant things going forward, and therefore the government is working significantly. So we have really gone in, we are settling in, and I'm asking for people's patience a bit. It's only how long? 17 days, and the government is working and making sure. I want to say that we are doing things prudently. One of the things I ask for, and we ask for as a team, is that we should not just rush in there and treat people with disrespect and dishonor. And I want to thank the supporters of the St Kitts-Nevis Labour Party for respecting that. There was no ransacking of the government headquarters. And a matter of fact, when I went there the first day, they did not rush to come upstairs. I told them I'm going upstairs, and I indicated they should wait downstairs and respect the government headquarters, and they did. And I want to really applaud them for acting in that way. They were prudent in their actions, they were wise in their actions, and this is a democratic country. This was no military takeover. I remember in 2015, people going upstairs in hard hats, ransacking offices, disrespecting people, and I decided that our government will not be about that. And so we have treated people with respect. We have treated people with the honor that they deserve, but we have also made sure that in cases where we think and we have evidence that significant wrongdoing was done or is being done, that we'll take the necessary measures to protect the country first, to protect the government. And so we have found in their journey a lot of unsavory things that you wonder if this was a government or this was a family business running like a mafia. I mean, when you look at what is found in there, I understand that the people of St. Kitts-Nevis recognized what was happening and they rejected it. So I'm very proud of the people of St. Kitts-Nevis. We couldn't continue another 5 years like this. Believe me, it's bad how it was structured. But we are committed as a team to cleaning up the government and once again to make the government to function for the people. There are things that we are able to do and will do to make sure that we do it. I know people are out there asking for quick action to move this person here, move this person, I will address that. But as I told you, we are not here to rush in and disrespect anybody and treat anybody with dishonor. We will do it prudently, but we'll do it wisely as well, because we will protect the country. And if there are those who want to sabotage the government, we will not allow that. And so the actions we take will be based on the information that we have found and that we know. And in some instances is really, really not looking pretty. I mean, people were using the government as their cash cow. People were using the treasury as their personal bank account, using banks as their personal bank accounts, really not following any regulations, any rules, just ruling as they see fit. They weren't leading, they were ruling. And we see many instances of that in almost every aspect of the government. And so we are going to take the measures and actions that are necessary to make sure that the government is stable again, let people know that St. Kitts-Nevis is open for business, and to let people know that this is a people-centered government, really to deal with the needs of our people and to move our country forward. So I'm proud of the team. The team has been working hard. You saw all the ministers went to their ministries. They have had their pictures being posted just to let people know that they are in position and leading their ministries and, in essence, leading their country. The cabinet met. Our first meeting ran till way in the night because we were making sure that we get the people's agenda on track. So the team that is there is a competent team, hard-working team, innovative team, a team ready to go forward with the development of St. Kitts-Nevis. And I've met with a number of PSAs, heads of departments and so forth, to make sure that the critical things that are to be done, that they be done and to stabilize our country. But the last thing I want to mention with respect to the peace, the PAP and the STEP. I have put STEP, PAP and housing under social protection. And the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Jeffrey Hanley, he's in charge of social protection. Because we need to really deal with the issues that we have, the social issues that we have. Not in a political way in the sense of how they did it. Just bring a name and you go on it, or to reject a name just on political grounds. We want to make sure that these programs work for the interests of all of our people and work for the interests of the development of St. Kitts-Nevis. So we want to bring social protection under an umbrella. So when somebody comes in for any social services, you can see who the person is, where they are, what service will be best for them. And so having all of these under one umbrella would help us to really meet the social needs of the people of St. Kitts-Nevis. So that would be called social protection. And included in that will be what we call aging with dignity. Because our population is aging, and we want to make sure that as people get to the latter part of their lives, that they have the opportunity to live it as best as they can as well. So we have put those in place in healthcare and education. So I'll give you the opportunity, but I want the people to know that the government is working, and they can see the working of the government, and we are making sure that we put things in place to really deal with the issues of the people. And we have been doing that. We have not taken the attitude of slash and burn, but we have taken the prudent approach of making sure that we do things that are necessary and we do it in proper order. Because when this government is set in, when this administration is set in, this is set in to last a long time. And always, always people focused and people centered.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Drew. Just an observation from me quickly. I'm sure that Dr. Martin and Sam would also have a few comments, but if I can. Now, when the Trump administration came into power, the people for Obama, they left.
Yes.
Similarly, when Biden came into power, Trump's top people left.
Yes.
With dignity.
Yes.
Now, there is some kind of thing going on Facebook where people are shouting, oh, victimization and all these kinds of things and so on already, based on the fact that certain people who they feel should have left have not and have stayed on and they're waiting to be fired or whatever. And so there's this debate going on Facebook up to now and in social media about that. But what I wanted to ask you, people who are in boards and on corporations and people who are political appointees, people in embassies and so on overseas, don't they automatically resign? Because I could recall the government of Grenada, the Prime Minister asking for the people who are in embassies to hand in their resignation. What is your point on this during this transitional period?
Right. So people are in politically appointed position. In every democracy, every government, you have those people. It is understood. And part of that process is to make sure that what the people voted for is what is had, because you go to the people to get a mandate to implement your policies. And they are politically appointed positions to make sure that that happens. So you have an obligation to the people. People who are in politically appointed positions, they know who they are. And if, for example, in the United States, once the government changes, you know that I'm politically appointed. You don't even wait. You know, you just hand in your resignation and you say, look, I've served and I'm moving on. If the new administration wants you, then they will call you and say, look, based on your skill set, what we want, we'd like you to consider continuing with us. But the honorable thing to do is to know that you are politically appointed and you really should render your resignation. And then, you know, if the administration sees fit, then they can bring you back. So when you get that position, you already know that you are politically appointed. They are politically appointed positions. And I have not gone in to just slash and burn, but to give people the dignified space and time so that they can do the honorable thing. If you are in a politically appointed position, that you resign with honor and respect and get a good sending off. But there are those, of course, who may not see it that way. And so you would hope that they do that. But it's not victimization. Victimization has a different definition. And dealing with just issues. If you go in and you find people have been, you know, rigging the system, raping the system, and you have evidence of that, you can't leave them in their position, right? And I said to some people, and I'm hoping that some of them will do the honorable thing and not allow the public to ask for the evidence as to why they might be relieved of their position. I think if I were there, I would just keep my head low and say, just let me move out and let the new administration get a chance to establish itself. Because I'm telling you, what you meet there for some people, and if they're bold enough to even try to fight that, you ask, why are you doing that? So I think they would have had enough time to leave, to pack themselves up, leave in a dignified way. Nobody is slashing and burning them. And I think that they should really respect the norm. And if you know you're politically appointed, you render your resignation. And, you know, if your skill set or whatever your offer is seen to be what the government wants, then the government can appoint you again. And so I think that that is what most will be done. And if not done, then you would recall people. You would say, look, you have to be recalled then. But that is not victimization. Victimization is another thing. You have somebody working well, good evaluation, and they're not sabotaging the government and you're going after them. I'm not into that per se. But the agenda of the government or the administration must be carried out. That is what people voted for. So we have been prudent. We have approached it from a very respectful way, but we are going to also be determined to make sure that the administration is able to be installed and carry out the agenda of the people. So I would say to those who know that they're politically appointed, that they understood, and those who come in with me, I'm going to tell them that you're being politically appointed in this position. So when I leave, most likely you're leaving with me. And then if the new administration see fit to hold you, then they will say, look, we need your continued service. But understand that when I appoint you, it is a politically appointed position. And those positions are defined, so they know what those positions are. This is not like an appointment in the civil service. These are politically appointed positions.
I have a clip that brings out that same interesting point you're raising.
Yes.
Because the former Prime Minister, Dr. Harris, had this to say about political appointments and so on.
Yes, yes.
As a responsible government, we have asked all political appointees of the former administration to do the honorable thing and resign. As a new administration, we must be afforded the opportunity to decide whether we retain those political appointees or change them in the best interests of the people of this country. To date, we have taken a number of deliberate actions to have some of them reassigned and some repositioned. We will complete the senior appointments in government and on statutory boards in due course. More information will be provided on these and other matters as we move forward.
And that was March 2015.
Yes.
With Prime Minister Harris making that statement.
Right. So what he's saying there, if people were to apply the same measure, he has asked political appointees to resign. The new Prime Minister of Grenada had to do the same thing. And just like the United States, it's about 3,000, over 3,000 politically appointed positions. So you just automatically know that you move across once the administration changed. But we, of course, not doing it how they did it, where they went and disrespect people, ransacked people's offices, disrespected people. We have not taken that approach. We are giving people the dignified space and time really to resign from the politically appointed positions. And so I hope that they do that, and as the government continue to establish itself, that we really do not have. We already have to ask a few to be recalled, and I will recall them. For example, the ambassador to the UN. I'm going to the UN soon. He had enough time to resign, even though we know his political utterances and what he had. I still treated him with the respect and dignity and give him the chance to pack himself up, gather himself together, and make his trip home. I would have to look. He's a politically appointed person, and I would have to recall him because he has not resigned to this point. Right. So that is one example. And I see a number of them. Right. For example, some of them has resigned and asking for extra time. It does not work like that. They know how it works. But I've given our administration, I've given them enough time so that they can live in a dignified way. I have not even said anything publicly about them, or against them, or attack them. I'm just giving them the dignified space for them to do what they have to do, the right thing.
Prime Minister, the VAT-free day happening at school reopening underscores, it appears to me, the singular importance you're attaching to education.
Yes. Education is important. We are going to be serious about it because we have to educate our people to survive in the 21st century. We are few, but in K-On, if you know what the motto is, not quantity, but quality. So we have to make sure that our citizens are quality and they can survive anywhere in this world.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think that is important because the philosophy of the Labour Party, in fact, the Labour Party believe that the education is really the fulcrum of the social and economic development of the country.
Yes.
And your initial policy statements, in addition to the VAT, you have the building of the Bastille High School, the college-free education, and other issues.
Laptop program.
And you could see that this is a continuation of the...
For example, to follow you up, because if you look when I speak from home, I have Bratcher over my shoulder. And I just want people to know that we're going to do the Bratcher Museum. I've sought the funding for it, I have the funding for it, and we're going to do it. Because I think Bratcher needs to be properly honored, and the museum is an issue. And even in St. Paul's, we're going to make sure that we finish the park as well. And to follow up on you, you're right. I met with the leadership of the cable, and the cable belongs to the government about 90 to 99%. And we are going to make sure that the children who can't afford internet at home, that they're going to get free internet. Right? They're going to get the computer and the free internet. So no child, because of their socioeconomic background, will be left behind. The other thing that I had to do for education is that a number of students were going off to study, and the government took away the economic cost. And as soon as it brought to my attention, I signed to say all who go to university should get economic costs. Listen to this. For economic costs, for all the students in UWI, a year is about 2 million something. That is what I'm told from the numbers. And there are programs in the government that cost $2 million a month. You know how much it costs for us to educate all our people at college? $1.5 million per year. And there are programs that cost $2 million per month. So it's cheaper to educate all of our people than to pay for any other program. And so education will be our way to deal with crime, to deal with the social issues. We will give all of our young people the opportunity to be well educated, well trained in whatever field they wish to endeavor that leads to national development. So I know if I were to take $2 million a month and ask a good school anywhere that I will pay $24 million a year for you to educate 1,000 people, there's hardly any school that will say no. So we have to spend our money wisely. So I've taken those measures to make sure that our young people have access to education all across the board.
Yes.
Yes.
You wanted to get in another quick...
I was hesitating to ask this one, but Sam was needling me under the table. You had meetings with the premier and political leader of the CCM and
Correct.
also the political leader of the NRP.
Correct.
And so it is very exciting to well, we're all excited to hear the results of those meetings.
So
before you answer that,
Yes.
Prime Minister, I want to put into perspective the CBI program,
Yes.
because this is one of the things that the Honourable Premier was talking about, that Nevis was not getting their fair share of the
Yes.
CBI funds.
Yes.
Now, we heard in the last administration that ministers in government didn't know where, how, when, and anything like that about the CBI.
That is
exactly.
true. That is true.
What have you been able to uncover or discover?
Well, I discovered the CBI program, and I have come to recognize that this was being run by some in the government like a personal business. It was not being properly regulated. It's a good program, good people are working hard, but in terms of how he hid the information and he protected the information for some sort of person, I can't even say political advantage, because he hid it even from his own people. But I want to say we have moved to make sure that we strengthen the CBI program. The CBI program is working for us. It's a good program if we manage it well. And there's some more pronouncements I will make with respect to that. But in terms of Nevis, the meetings went well. I met with the leader of CCM, the leader of NRP. We have discussed putting a committee together. That committee will look at the constitution, look at the relationship between St Kitts and Nevis, and come up jointly with measures, policies, directions with how we're going to deal with the relationship of St Kitts and Nevis. So I have discussed that with both leaders of putting that committee together. So they would recommend their persons. We will recommend our people as well to be a part of that committee, so that legislatively we can deal with the issues of St Kitts and Nevis.
Dr. Joe, I know you have to leave.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity to say your final words.
Yes.
And then make your exit.
I'm very, very happy to be here, Juni. I wish I could have stayed longer.
We'll have you back.
Yes, you can have me back.
When it's convenient.
Yes, so I can more interact
and
with the panelists, and we will take a few calls then. But I would like to say to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that the government is working. We are moving to make sure you can already feel the effect of the government working for you. Families are already feeling the effect. Our people are feeling the effect, our travelers are feeling the effect, and we'll continue to work on behalf of the people. I know there is some anxiety with respect to people moving out of positions, but as always said, and I believe, I don't say what I don't mean. What I say is what I mean. So if I said it before the campaign, it's because I meant it. And if I said we were not going to victimize people and so forth, it's because I meant it. However, seeking justice is not victimization, and giving people an opportunity really to do the dignified thing, I think, is the proper way to go. But if people don't use the time and opportunity to do that, then we will have to take action. And today I had to take action to recall the UN ambassador, and I hope that he's back safely and quickly to St. Kitts and Nevis, and so that we can get our new UN ambassador in by the time I go to make my my first inaugural speech at the UN. And if there are instances where people are not following what they are supposed to follow, then measures will be taken because they would have had enough time. And I want to say that persons who we find in the government, we will find evidence of them raping the government, and bodies of the government and banks of the government, where we have seen things really, we will make sure that we take the measure to protect the institution, protect the reputation of the institution, and make sure we protect the people's agenda. Those things we will make sure of.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Prime Minister.
Yes.
We wish you Godspeed.
Yes.
Have a great day today.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right.
All right.